What's going on, guys? So, pardon me. Um, I honestly can't believe that I even need to make this video. The cognitive dissonance that some people have blows my mind. And I put up a post on my Facebook and I did my best editing the people out of it. But I'm going to use code words for everything. All right. So, Einstein, you can figure out who that is. Philadelphia, we know who Philadelphia is. Marshmallow, the Marshmallows, that's their intelligence agency. I think that's all the code words we need. So I put up a post on my Facebook, and let me bring it up real quick. Let's address the elephant in the room. He worked for the Marshmallows. All these children were trafficked at the behest of the Philadelphia government. Where does the line get drawn? Or does everybody just pretend like it's not the truth? Or am I somehow anti Semitic for pointing this out? I'd love to see how people justify this. And the first comment on this post goes like this: the elephant in the room is that the man in the highest office of power in our country is named more times than Jesus is in the Bible. Why don't you refocus on what's going on here, what continues to go on here, because it's easier to blame the Jays and it's easier to point your finger at the Marshmallows as if you had some inside line. So, words have meanings, right? They words have meaning. Jewish people. Jewish people are people of the Jewish religion. Zionists. There are Jewish Zionists. There are Christian Zionists. They are the people that, come hell or high water, they are taking the land that they were promised back 2,000 years ago. Palestinians, women and children be damned. We're taking it back. Don't ask me how the Christian religion got manipulated into buying into Zionism. I have a feeling you could thank Turning Point USA for that messaging. But let's keep going with definitions. So you have Jewish people who are Jewish in faith, Zionists who are taking their land back that was promised by God and the Philadelphia government. They are not the same thing. When you criticize one, you are not criticizing all. They are three very different things. But to some people can't wrap their head around this concept. So back to the post. The elephant in the room is the man that is in the highest office of power in our country is named more times than Jesus is in the Bible. Refocus on what's going on here. What continues to go on, because it's easier to blame Jewish people and it's easier to point your finger at the marshmallows as if you had some kind of inside line. There is nowhere in my post that I even mention Jewish people, that I blame Jewish people for anything. I asked a simple question. And what did the first comment insinuate? That I am an anti-Semite. So, let's keep going through the comments, okay? Oh man, I can't believe this. I can't believe I got to do this. Somebody pointed out that Zionists are not Jews. True, but not true. Not all Jewish people are Zionists, but all Zionists are Jews or very confused Christians. So she replies, okay, we can split hairs. My statement stands. As far as where you'd like to go, yes, I believe Palestinians are suffering under a genocide by Netanyahu. I believe it's their land, and they should be helped to thrive on that land. Again, so we can split hairs, but this statement by Ricky is not about Palestine. You're right. It was not about Palestine. We don't even need to go there. Somebody replied to her, that is simply a lie. Because you think it doesn't make it so. And her reply to that was, that's false. Stop. My buddy's reply. I truly appreciate you acknowledging Palestine. You're cool in my book. The governments are riddled with pedos. I'm disgusted I ever supported Trump. I am too. Many of us were fooled. She responds, when I need an education, I'll certainly reach out to you. Until then, I'll depend on my formal education that I received throughout life. Well, I guess he didn't receive a formal education throughout his life, and his life experiences don't mean anything to your life experiences, right? I love how you young people think you're here to educate when what you actually do is buy bullshit and sell rhetoric. Really. Buy bullshit and sell rhetoric. Okay. What special education gives you the ability to decide what I think? I bet you don't even have a college education. I would bet you spend most of your time on YouTube chasing rabbit hole conspiracies that allow you to blame Jews for your failures to achieve in life. Are you serious? Is that what you think people do? Do you really think that there's people sitting at home right now that are blaming Jewish people because they can't succeed in life? I mean, maybe it's because we can't afford to live. Maybe it's because rent is through the roof. Maybe it's because there's a generation of people that'll never be able to afford houses. Maybe it's because inflation. Maybe it's because there's no accountability for any of this, but we're just we're blaming the Jays. That's what we're doing here. I'm a college educated medical professional. I insinuated nothing about your education, your needing it, or lack thereof. Your attack on my character is typical of what I expect from people that typical of what I expect from people like you. And lady, I don't blame anyone for anything in my life. I'm blessed and surrounded by good people. She replied to that comment. You people, oh, you showed your true self. This is a reply to her. Wow, I complimented you, but it seems your formal education isn't doing much for you. So let me clarify because it seems you may be a little slow on this subject. No one is blaming Jewish people. If that's how you're interpreting this, then I suggest you read the post over and over until you do. I'm not young, and age doesn't equal knowledge. I mean, you are clearly proof of this. I tried being nice, but seems you want to win a stupid prize for playing a stupid game. Since you are old, you must have been playing the victim card for a very long time, right? Always them, never you. Am I right? You I'm not going to read the next comment. If you're watching, you could read it. Somebody else commented. Oh, she commented. If you think you complimented me, I feel bad for you. It didn't land. What do you know about my age or education? Nothing. Zionists aren't Jews, but read the post. He's not talking about Zionists. He's talking about marshmallows. Dare I say they are Jewish? Or you need to educate me? The obsession with marshmallows and blaming Jewish people is one and the same, and it's utterly ridiculous to suggest otherwise. So, the intelligence agency of our greatest ally should not be held accountable for running the largest sex trafficking and blackmail operations in history that compromised nothing but American politicians and let's say that again, American politicians, because Bill Clinton's in the files, I'm sure you know, just like Donald Trump, just like Alan Dershowitz, just like a whole bunch of Democrats and Republicans. It's not a red and blue issue. And this is the last comment, and this is what got me. She's talking about me here. I honestly believe he's a good guy who doesn't grasp the magnitude of what he's saying when he's speaking to people who are Jewish. My children are genetically overwhelmingly Ashkenazi Jew, according to Ancestry.com. I explained to Ricky the other day that he's the type of person that's making me fear for my children. I don't believe that's who he is, and that's why I become so persistent on this page. I am the type of person that makes you fear for your children? What am I, like Jeffrey Dahmer? Like, I, you know what? The woman that I'm speaking to is going to know that I'm speaking to her. The fact that you made a comment like that is so low and so disgusting. It's total bullshit that you even suggested that. I really can't believe that you would even say something like that. What's up, buddy? What's up, bud? I I I can't believe you said that. So what we're going to do, since you're justifying what the marshmallows and what the Philadelphia government did, we're going to go through and talk about how Mr. Einstein, Little Jeffery, is tied to the marshmallows in Philadelphia. And we're going to go through a little list of how he's tied to our greatest ally. In 1974, he gets his start at the Dalton School. By 1976, he's kicked out of there. No college degree. He has no credentials. He's fired for getting too close to a female student and somehow lands a job at Bear Stearns Financial. Tell me how somebody with no college degree, no formal education, gets a job at Bear Stearns. So, hold on. Jeffrey Epstein was a foreign aligned power broker cruising through the United States, shielded by money, influence, and the don't ask, don't tell kind of mentality. For decades, he went through the American financial system, our political institutions, all while forging tight bonds with Zionist mega donors and intelligence figures tied to the foreign state of Philadelphia. This isn't about left versus right anymore because they're all in the files. This is about getting our country back. And it's a question that brings into it makes me question the sovereignty of our own country. CEO Alan Greenberg is the one that opened the doors for Epstein on Wall Street. He rose quickly in the firm, but in 1981 he bolts. He's got allegations of insider trading. None of them ever stick, but obviously it raised red flags. Right from the start of his career, he's rubbing shoulders with the wealthy, the political, the affluential, people who are deeply embedded in pro Israel lobbying efforts and foreign policy advocacy. Apollo, chill out, dude. Calm down. Calm down. Sorry, my dog's tripping. People like Les Wexner. Let's share his page. Share screen. Share screen. No, is not there. Maybe it's not there. All right. So people pouring money into shaping U.S. decisions on international matters. Epstein wasn't out there inventing products or building real companies. His game was all about access, forging relationships that unlock power and opportunity. The only way he was able to do this is with help. Probably from Zionist linked networks or intelligence circles that tend to blend organized crime with covert operations. A complete outsider from Wall Street was able to infiltrate the heart of Wall Street with no work background. And this is crucial because it lays the foundation for how foreign influence can quietly seep into American power structures. Building layers of untouchable leverage that steadily erode our country's sovereignty over time. Jump ahead to the mid 1980s. Epstein starts associating with Anand Khashoggi, the same Anand Khashoggi who is a Saudi arms dealer, who is at the center of the Iran-Contra scandal. The Iran-Contra affair, the whole thing, what it did was it showed how global power really worked behind the scenes. It was an example of elite globalism in full swing and how it was executed through backdoor deals, shady people. Hold on one second. I gotta let my dog out. Come on, come out. Go. Money flowed without a trace. Philadelphia intermediaries played pivotal roles in arms logistics and international leverage. And there is absolutely no accountability to the American voters who are left in the dark. Epstein even brushed up against CIA-linked airlines like Arrow Air and Southern Air Transport, which were used for covert weapons shipments and supplies during the Iran-Contra affair. And this is where he learned a critical lesson. True power doesn't come from following laws and playing fair. It comes from mastering leverage, holding the right secrets, and operating in the gray areas. This is the period of his life where he was schooled in sophisticated financial laundering, early forms of blackmail, which was often interwoven with Zionist interests in the Middle East, in Middle Eastern finances and geopolitics. And why does this matter so much? It reveals how Epstein adopted a proven model where Philadelphia players could circumvent U.S. oversight entirely, always putting the agenda of their needs ahead of our national interests and basic accountability, a pattern that echoes through his later operations. In 1991, Robert Maxwell passed away. He died on his yacht. Like all sorts of conspiracy theories about how Robert Maxwell fell off his yacht and died. It's at his funeral where he received state honors that Philadelphia actually Philadelphia actually acknowledged that Robert Maxwell was a Mossad agent.
The teardrop church where Mary wept, close by the
He was a marshmallow.
lies halfway down the Mount of Olives. At the foot of the slope in the valley is the 9th century BC tomb of the prophet Zechariah, and high above is where Robert Maxwell will be buried this afternoon. Early this morning, a Palestinian
I don't know what I
farmer and his
did.
two
I don't know how
sons
I muted
began
this page
preparing the
on
grave,
mute tab
which was one of the most expensive plots, they say. While there's uncertainty
for you.
The teardrop church where Mary wept, close by the Garden of Gethsemane, lies halfway down the Mount of Olives. At the foot of the slope in the valley is the 9th century BC tomb of the prophet Zechariah, and high above is where Robert Maxwell will be buried this afternoon. Early this morning, a Palestinian father and his two sons began preparing the grave, which was one of the most expensive plots, they said. While there's uncertainty still about the precise cause of his death, private security guards were employed this morning to make sure the burial takes place without a problem. Robert Maxwell had rediscovered his Jewish identity in later years. He told friends here, "I was born a Jew and I will die a Jew." His wife says that she believed Israel and Jerusalem was his spiritual home. The Maxwell family gathered over the weekend at the King David Hotel, amid a group of newspaper executives protecting their privacy.
That is Robert Maxwell. That is Ghislaine's father. Robert Maxwell wasn't merely a book publisher. He was deeply entangled in Philadelphia intelligence operations. From smuggling arms to the Eastern Bloc during the Cold War to the notorious Promise Scandal. And if you don't know about the Promise Scandal, I'm going to tell you about it. Robert Maxwell assisted the Marshmallows in stealing, modifying, and distributing a U.S. Department of Justice program designed for tracking legal cases. This software was rigged with a hidden backdoor for remote spying, sold globally through Maxwell's companies like DGEM Computers, allowing Philadelphia to eavesdrop on intelligence agencies, financial systems, and even nuclear labs in places like Los Alamos, granting unprecedented access to sensitive data worldwide. His empire included media outlets for manipulating public narratives, political bribes to influence leaders, nuclear technology deals that crossed ethical lines, money laundering schemes to fund the operations, and compromise collection on high-profile figures to maintain control. Maxwell's marshmallow involvement turned him into a virtuoso of merging real business with espionage. Using his family, particularly his daughter Ghislaine, as a tool of this intricate web of influence. Shortly after his death, Ghislaine, who was raised in this insane environment of intelligence, media domination, sexual leverage as a weapon, and political manipulation, forms a close alliance with Jeffrey Epstein. From there, Einstein, his activities ramp up dramatically, shifting from opportunistic misconduct to a highly organized blackmail enterprise that incorporated elements of child trafficking. Underage girls were systematically lured in with promises of opportunity, groomed over time, trafficked across borders and states to serve the whims of the powerful elite. Virginia Dufresne detailed in court how Epstein and Ghislaine orchestrated a pyramid scheme of recruitment, paying girls as young as 14 to bring friends under false pretenses like modeling gigs and scholarships, only to coerce them into filmed sexual encounters designed for maximum leverage. Jeffrey Epstein directly inherited Robert Maxwell's marshmallow playbook. through introductions from agents like Ari Ben Menashe? I don't know how to pronounce that. Who later claimed Maxwell recruited Epstein for Philadelphia intelligence operations. Released Epstein documents, including 2020 FBI reports, support this by alleging Epstein underwent spy training under figures like Ehud Barak and funneled information back into the marshmallows via middlemen, deeply tying him to Philadelphia military intelligence, and this is monumental in Epstein's life because this is where he began adopting and adapting a battle-tested marshmallow system, injecting foreign intelligence strategies straight into the heart of America's elite society. Disregard for our legal system in the process. Hold on, I got to get the rest of my outline. I ran out of room. But yeah, he Orange Man bad, right? You know, Orange Man bad. Trump's in the files, and he's the bad guy because he's in the files, not the people who conducted this operation, and not the people who trafficked the girls, and not the people who funded it, but just Trump himself because he's in the files. In the mid 80s, he secured his most pivotal American sponsor, Leslie Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, and I want to say Hollister. By 1987, Epstein was handling all of his finances. And in 91, he gains full power of attorney, taking control of Wexner's wealth, acquiring his New York City mansion, which court documents and victim testimonies describe as wired up for blackmail headquarters, complete with hidden cameras in every corner. Wexner isn't just a wealthy businessman. He is a major Zionist force. He was mentored by Max Fisher, a tycoon with CIA connections, and a fervent pro-Israel advocate. Wexner channels millions into Israeli leadership development programs like the Wexner Foundation, which we will go check out now. Hold on one second. So, this is the Wexner Foundation. Leadership rooted in hope. Strengthening leadership in the North American Jewish community and the state of Philadelphia. Interesting. Go figure. Wexner donated to lobbying infrastructures like APAC, academic institutions that mold U.S. foreign policy for favor of Israel. In 91, Wexner co-founds the Mega Group alongside figures like Charles Bronfman, a secretive club of Zionist billionaires, including Edgar Bronfman, Seagram's heir and World Jewish Congress leader, Michael Steinhardt, hedge fund pioneer known for pro-Israel giving, Steven Spielberg, Larry Tisch, Max Fisher. This group, while supposedly about philanthropy, carried all the political weight for Israel in America at the time, with documented links to the marshmallows in intelligence intercepts by our government in 1997, essentially masking strategic influence under charitable disguise. This allowed Zionist donors networks to outsource operational tasks to Epstein, channeling covert influence campaigns while keeping their hands clean. Epstein's entry through Wexner positioned him perfectly within this elite ecosystem. Merging finances with espionage, this relationship exemplifies delegated authority at its most extreme, where Zionist money twists U.S. financial norms, equipping Epstein to manipulate politics and academia unchecked, all while prioritizing foreign allegiances over the American justice system and fairness. Now let's talk about another president. Let's talk about Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal. During the 1990s, President Bill Clinton's affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky exploded onto the public view in 1998 and culminated in his impeachment trial. Drawn from intelligence whispers and declassified materials, those documents suggest this wasn't a mere chance meeting, but a calculated marshmallow operation to compromise Clinton at a critical juncture. Israeli intelligence intercepted phone conversations between Clinton and Lewinsky, transforming them into compromise to exert pressure on U.S. Middle East policies. Fits right into Robert Maxwell's playbook of using sexual leverage for political gain. And the timing of it couldn't be more telling. The Lewinsky scandal broke at the same time the Oslo Accords were going on. And while Clinton was actively pressing for territorial concessions to Palestinians, Benjamin Netanyahu threatened to use the phone call that he had as leverage over Clinton. Netanyahu had just gotten elected leader of the Likud party and was pushing back hard on the concessions that were going to the Palestinians. Clinton was advocating for real progress. The strategic leak of the Lewinsky details funneled through intermediaries like Linda Tripp served to distract, discredit, and diminish Clinton's authority, compelling him to retreat from aggressive demands such as the release of Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard. Unreal, man. Now let's talk about Jonathan Pollard, actually. It is probably the biggest espionage case in U.S. history. Pollard, a Navy intelligence analyst, was arrested in 1985 for transmitting thousands of classified documents to Philadelphia, including sensitive intel on Soviet weaponry, Arab military capabilities, and even American evaluations of Philadelphia's own defenses. He pleaded guilty in 1986 and received a life sentence in 1987, the harshest ever for spying on an ally. Served 30 years before parole in 2015. Eventually relocating to Philadelphia in 2020, where he was celebrated as a national hero. He justified his actions by claiming the U.S. was withholding critical information from Israel, but the fallout was severe. Compromised U.S. sources, leaked satellite imagery, and signal intelligence manuals that put American operations at risk globally. This became a sticking point with prime ministers like Netanyahu repeatedly lobbying Clinton for Pollard's release during the late 90s, precisely when the Lewinsky scandal and Oslo negotiations were heating up. The Marshmallows, through assets like Robert Maxwell, who allegedly bartered Pollard's stolen intel for the emigration of Soviet Jews, maintained ongoing leverage over the situation. Epstein, having absorbed Maxwell's network through Ghislaine, directly amplified this leverage. His blackmail operations provided additional compromisation and back-channel influence to sway Clinton's stance on Pollard and broader policy concessions. Declassified documents indicate that Pollard's material were routed through channels Epstein would later navigate. And Ehud Barak, a close Epstein associate and former Mossad chief, was in the mix. We're not done yet, though. We'll keep going. I got more. I got more. Give me a second. Going to talk about the Edge conferences.